Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. Welcome to all my new subscribers. First off, let me say, welcome to Earth. We're still here. The prediction from a secular side of things, or as some people have said, the prophecy of an alien invasion or a melee, as Cliff High called it, has failed. It is 6:30. I've still got 5.5 hours left before the day is over, but it's pretty much a failed deal. I'm not worried about 5.5 hours. And it failed just like I've been saying since I started my first video last Friday. And I've indicated in every one of my videos, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and tonight. I view myself as a skeptical believer. I believe the UFOs are real. And just because a particular prediction about something they would do fails has nothing to do with their reality. They're real. We just don't have full disclosure yet. But I think that may be up to them. Now, I am going to own up to a mistake I made in my video yesterday. I misinterpreted one of the videos, the lights in the video, and there were several who came unglued at me and called me all kinds of names, and that's okay because everyone makes mistakes. I'll own my mistake. I misinterpreted a particular part of some video. But I came down on the right side. I did not misinterpret that those were not UFOs. They are not UFOs. Now, I get it. There's going to be some people who are offended. I even had someone ask me, why have you sold out? Backyard Professor, sold out? I haven't sold out anything. I have to hold a higher bar of quality evidence because I do believe in the UFOs. Just to accept everything that's said is as foolish as it is to just reject everything as well. Both extremes are not the truth. The truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. It always is. There's lessons here to learn. And as we move forward into continuing examining not only the history of this interesting phenomenon, but the most important question to ever hit humanity, our entire species worldwide, because this is a worldwide phenomenon, I think it's important to recognize that we will make a lot of mistakes, but that's the way to move forward through the good, the bad, and the ugly, as I call it. Now, I have been trying to keep my eye on many videos that have come out, sharing videos from people around the world looking up at the sky, finding all sorts of weird lights or strange behavior of lights, or orbs, or saucers, or whatever you call them, whatever we think they are. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to cause anyone angst. But just because a light in the sky acts weird does not automatically transfer into UFO. That's rule number one. Rule number two is the reason I pushed this, quote, prophecy is because that is what some websites were calling this interesting thing, a prophecy. I didn't see it as a prophecy at all. And when they say prophecy, they mean like biblical prophecy. Prediction would be the secular way to look at it. I think it's more in line with a prediction based on our computer technology, and even that is very slim pickings for predicting the future. And why is that? Because the future has literally trillions of variables that no person or no supercomputer, no group of supercomputers can completely predict. And therefore, it's always wiser, it's truly more probable, using the Bayesian theorem probability, that a prediction of such a specific moment in time with such a very specific action in time. And we have on video clip in my previous videos, Cliff High saying this is going to involve UFOs fighting UFOs and UFOs fighting jets. None of that happened. This is the day it was supposed to happen. Not the end of the world necessarily, but this is the 39th day, which Cliff said from the time of the Joe Rogan Donald Trump interview would trigger something going on in the next within the next 39 days. And on the 39th day, today, it was supposed to be a melee. Some people are saying, well, he didn't say invasion, he said melee. I'm using the language of people on YouTube who are misguiding, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it doesn't matter. I make that mistake myself. I misinterpreted a video yesterday. I got 2/3 to 3/4 of it right. Nobody paid attention to that. They went to the misinterpretation and started calling me all kinds of names. It's okay. I'm not offended. It doesn't matter. What matters is we have to hold a higher bar for a reality for this reason. We don't discard the science of what we've learned for 500 years. We've got a pretty decent background on how it works and how it helps guide us. You can't just let that go. Now, science itself is evolving, it's changing, it's adding to its repertoire beyond just crass materialism and grit. That's true. It's growing as well. But such a mind-boggling claim that's with this field, the UFOs and aliens, needs mind-boggling good evidence, and I don't see it in videos or photographs. And therefore, I remain more on the skeptical believer side than the believing believer side, just for that reason. If I just accept everything that's presented, it's going to lead to confirmation bias. And that is a horrible error to make. If we just say everything that it does not support UFO reality, to utilize bad evidence or uncredible evidence, it just doesn't work that way. We need good quality evidence, not quantity of evidence. You can see 200 really weird colors or the way the lights behave, and if it's not really good evidence, even with our interpretation of, oh, that's moving weird, or, ooh, that looks weird, that does not prove UFO. That's what we need to come to understand. Now, in the way that I have been approaching this, I'm finding that it's more difficult than I expected to get really good evidence. And in line with this, I need to say that Mick West is doing a good service. I've seen many, many people in comments saying, oh, I'm so tired of Mick West and the debunkers. No, don't be. That's the wrong approach, in my opinion. They are performing an invaluable service because just as the superbly excellent UFO researchers in our midst. And I mean the scientists, Gary Nolan. I mean the superb journalists such as Ross Coulthart. And I mean the good authors such as Richard Dolan and Zabel and others. We need good quality evidence. We have to wade through 90% of bad evidence that's not valid to get to that proper, qualified evidence. So don't castigate Mick West and other debunkers. I'm ending up being more of a debunker than I expected to be. That's not my role, and yet it is my need. And I will continue doing so. Nothing personal. I'm not intending to offend anybody. We're all in this together. And that means the highest standards have to apply. There's no other choice. If we lower our standards, we don't get the same results. And the knowledge that we think is knowledge ends up being fake and phony, and it gets very discouraging. Now, we may be in this boat. I have heard the screams. I am part of those screams. We've been waiting for 80 years, etc. Yes, well, we may have to wait another 80 years. George Knapp just had an interview that was posted just recently, wherein he says, and this is George Knapp, his credibility is very strong. He says several times in the little nuggets of wisdom in his interview, he says, this isn't a subject that we're going to get to the bottom of tomorrow. It's not something that you can take, oh, let's take out of our time a couple of hours today and we'll get all the answers. No, this is not that subject. You did not learn algebra, geometry, trigonometry, and first and second year calculus in 8 months. You did not do so. But whoever has gone that far in the mathematics looks back on that, the engineers, the different types of engineers, the different types of scientists, astronomers, geologists, etc., they look back on that and they said, man, that was the best 8 years I ever spent, or 10. And then they don't quit using it either. They continue using it in their professions. It's not a matter of, I deserve it, give it to me now. For one thing, we don't have that kind of knowledge for full disclosure. But on the other hand, we've already been getting disclosure. Again, like I said in the video previous to this one, that might actually be up to the aliens themselves. On the other hand, it's not that we can sit back and do nothing and accomplish nothing. We ourselves can begin investigating. We ourselves can continue learning. Since I've jumped on this subject just a month and a half ago or so, I've read through about 6 books. Like I say, I am nowhere near an expert. I make mistakes too. I have to do better research, and I am committed to doing so. I will make mistakes in the future. I will make mistakes all the time. I will move forward through those mistakes, through the minefield of problems, and continue broadening my education in this field. I will have guests on my show. I will do book reviews. I will read FOIA reports, etc. I will analyze all kinds of materials. I will share why I don't believe this, why I do believe that. I will share why I think a particular photograph is good or bad, as well as a video. On that score, I am in the process of studying and learning more about how cameras work with bright lights at day and during the night. Actually, Mick West has videos on this. Those are valuable sources of information. Just because someone doesn't think like you do or that I do does not mean they're not worth looking into and studying. That's a narrow-minded view. It will, in essence, be cheating yourself of a very helpful education. When you look at all sides critically, you become a more rounded, well thought out, understanding person. You actually begin to have empathy for a lot of other people in their struggles. Instead of calling names, we help each other out. We learn together. We check things out and we say, well, that's not very good because of this and this and this. Or we look at something and we say, holy cow, I never thought of that angle. That is really intriguing. How does that tie in with this? How does that and this tie in with that? This is cool. Let's explore it, etc. This is my approach. I'm trying to be level-headed. I'm not trying to be a moron. I get it. Some people think I am. It's all good because in one way or another, everyone is a moron at one time or another. Absolutely. Every one of us make mistakes. The mistake of those who accepted this prophecy, oh, and there were sites bringing in all kinds of biblical verses to it, tying it in with angels and Jesus is coming and the 144,000 and demons and the Nephilim. I mean, they're all over the place on YouTube. You can find they're a dime a dozen. But this was not a prophecy. When we misattribute something, it leads us into error instead of coming to an understanding or gaining an actual knowledge, a proper knowledge of what it is versus what it isn't. Not everything is a UFO. We just need to accept that truism. Not every piece of evidence we see is going to be valuable. We need to keep the bar high. I will commit myself to doing better research. I shot from the hip in my video yesterday. I shouldn't have just shot from the hip, but I did, and I'm learning. But I came to an accurate conclusion based on even the proper interpretation of the evidence that I misinterpreted. It still led to the conclusion that this evidence doesn't cut the mustard. This is what we need to do. We're going to have to wade through a swamp before we get to the clear, good water. So, welcome to the world of ufology. This is the basis of all of our inquiries right here. Critical, meaning careful thinking, not believing everything we're told, even though it has the help of a supercomputer behind it. This is not to disparage Cliff High. I'm not into disparaging anybody. It's not to mock and make fun of. It is to sift through all of the evidence and get rid of the stuff that doesn't work and bring in the stuff that does work. This is what I'm doing. So, no surprise that this thing failed. Now we can move on into further light and knowledge about this incredibly, wildly interesting phenomenon. So thanks for watching my Backyard Professor videos. I will catch up to you just as soon as I can with more information as I get it. In the meantime, remember, have fun, do well, be good, make lots of friends, sleep nice, and I'll catch up to you soon. Keep smiling. It makes people wonder what you're up to. And that's always fun.